My name is Adrian Nantchev, and this channel is all about helping you become a remarkable entrepreneur. So click on the subscribe button below and press the bell notification right next to it for the latest uploads. Now, marketing. Marketing is a very fascinating, deep, it can be as complicated as you want it to be, subject. Marketing truly is about values. It's about you encompassing what you want your brand, your business, your mission, your values, your objectives, your stakeholders, everything, the world, to know and recognize you and recognize you as, and how you want your customers, your stakeholders, your shareholders, your suppliers, the general public, everyone, how you want them to feel. Keyword there is feel about you. It's about being who you want to be in a context that helps the audience to connect with you. You don't want to build a... When people say they're going to build a brand, they get a logo and they slap it on everything. And as a rule of thumb, the best way to diminish the value of your brand is to slap it everywhere. And a brand is about quality over quantity. Marketing is about projecting your mission into the world in the way you act, behave and do and such. It's about setting a standard and being a standard bearer for your industry or your business or brand or for helping your customers recognize and think about you straight away when they have a need or a problem or they're in search of a solution. There's a thing called mindshare that talks about how when you say a certain sector or business or problem, the first company that comes to mind has got total mindshare over that problem. So if I say fast food, or if I say soda or beverage drink, depending on where you live, or if I talk about retail, certain companies come to mind, and these certain companies will have a monopoly on that feeling. If I say fast food, for me, who comes to mind is McDonald's. Whether it's good or bad is a different question. But they have a monopoly on the feeling or the word of fast food. And from there, they have a monopoly on the thoughts and feelings that they want people to have when they think about McDonald's. The red and the gold. There for a reason. The naming, the logo, what is it? I can't remember off the top of my head now. I can picture it, but I can't remember what it's called. Ironic, a little bit. I've got so much mind shit, I don't go there, but I forgot what it's called. I'm loving it, that's it. I'm loving it, that's it. I'm not feeling good, yeah. I'm loving it. So, they have everything, down to getting the emotion just right and the atmosphere just right so as to persuade the customer, persuade themselves into buying from you before they even see an advert or go near a restaurant. So marketing really is about values. It's really about encompassing what you believe in colour, in behaviour, in attitude, in pricing, in products, in structure, in strategy, in everything what a company does. And there seems to be two kinds of businesses in the world, and I spoke about this briefly in the previous video, where there's a commodity business where it's a race to the bottom. Who can be the cheapest? And that works, nothing wrong with that. You're competing purely on price and what is called a red ocean. The opposite to that is a brand business, where you're competing to be the most expensive in a certain field, in a certain sector. And if you can be the most expensive in computers, in food, in hardware, software and books and beyond, and tables and chairs and light bulbs and all the rest, then you have got a monopoly on a certain feeling that you want your customers to feel when they're consuming your product or service. And if that can happen, where as they're consuming it or using it, what's called utility in economics, when they're consuming it, they have that certain reassurance or feeling that you want them to have on purpose. You want them to have, then they're gonna go back to you again and again and again. Because as a rule of thumb, also, if you're not number one or number two in an industry or sector, you're three or four or fifth. There's no real point in you being there. There's no point in you competing per se. You know, I mean, maybe from a shareholder perspective or a balance sheet perspective, yeah. But from a marketing perspective, no, you got a long way to go to get number one. And there was an interesting principle I uncovered recently. I forgot what it's called. It's something like the big winner effect. I thing called the main two winners effect, where it says in every sector, every industry, 80% of the value is going to be derived from, and 80% of the profits or revenue is going to go to the two big winners. Who is number one, and not far behind, or like this far behind is coming number two, but then who's number three be here, and number four and all the rest. Well, that's called Zipf's law, ZIFPS, Zipf's law, which talks about how there's an uneven distribution of presents, normally about half the size of each one, and descending into a long tail. And when you're in this long tail, collectively you barely have enough presents to compete with the big two, but the money wise it's just too scarce. And I was watching a talk about startups in America from a venture capital point of view, and they're saying that 97% of startups, roughly 1 in 1,000 startups, will have or generate or create or earn more money than the rest of them. So 3% of startups in, I don't know, per year will generate more wealth than all the others combined. Some big numbers right there. So marketing is a way of differentiating yourself from the competition at an intangible level. Because two people can sell the same thing. Two people can sell the same book, same camera, same chair. But the difference is who it came from. And I remember also my mother having a bias, a cognitive bias actually, for computer monitors actually. And when she went into the store, she wanted to buy the good brand, Sony. She didn't want to buy the unknown brands, the ones that no one's ever heard of. She wanted the top, or presumably top quality one, because that brand has that essence of prestige or quality, when as a matter of fact, from a manufacturing perspective, the components, the structure, the encasing, everything, the cables and beyond are exactly the same. But it's just that marketing on that name, that brand, which gives it that distinct difference, which again, they're willing to pay a higher price for it. And because of that brand, is a distinct, durable, competitive advantage that no one else can compete with, because they haven't got the same brand and they can't replicate it. The world can only handle, from a marketing perspective and a financial perspective, but also a human perspective, the world can only handle, and the world only really needs one Facebook. Only really needs and handles one Bill Gates. There's no point in being the second one. There's no point in creating their own version of that, because who's the first one? Everyone remembers the first to market, or the first, the biggest player. But who's second? Oh, I think it's this. Who's third? Who's fourth? No idea. So there's no point in trying to compete where it's here's a word. It's uncompetable. There's no point in trying to compete with the big names or big brands, because they own the space. Especially ones that have been there for like 100 years, they own it. Generation after generation, they own and control that space. So there's no real chance, unless some other major catastrophic things or miscalculation in the future that happens that leads to their downfall, and that could happen. We never know. So, marketing is about being the one you want to be. And one way of reverse engineering it, and looking at rather analytically or strategically, is to reverse engineer what emotions and feelings do you want the audience to feel when they see, consume or preview your products or services. What do you want them to have? And you want them to feel uplifted or energetic or powerful or whatever. Like this channel, it's all about helping 1 million entrepreneurs become remarkable. So remarkable, how do we do that? Well, it's knowledge, well, it's information, well, it's advice, it's practical advice. It's practical advice mixed with what I know and mixed with my experience and my mistakes, and then packaging it. So reverse engineer what you want them to feel, and then inhibit that in the business, inhibit that in your actions, inhibit that in the content, the marketing, the naming convention, the pricing, everything you do. You have to start with why as well. This is important. Simon Sinek covers this quite explicitly in his books. Start with why, and it's quite imperative. Starting with why means that you have a vision, a purpose, a fundamental reason why you're doing this, and that means you either have a passion for what you're selling or doing, and or you have a passion for the results that people will get from what you're selling or doing. At the very least, you have a passion for the solution or problem or the systemization or the goals, and that passion will lead you through thick and thin, And also, it's like a North Star. It helps to guide you in your actions, decisions, priorities, plans, everything you do. And it's like a check mark, a benchmark to say, if this decision does not bring us closer or one step closer to fulfilling our purpose, our mission, then it's not what we want to do. It's not what we want to spend our time on. It's not what you want to do in life. So it's worthwhile having a passion and a purpose for your company. And then from there you can extrapolate how you want people to think and feel. And then when you understand what you're thinking, and when you understand what you want them to think and feel, you can then begin and strive to have a monopoly on those thoughts, on those feelings. And then it's a case of awareness and attention. Who knows you? And that's actually, by the way, as a side note, that's the topic of an upcoming book of mine that's going to be released end of 2017. So how cool is that? So it's about feelings and emotions and what you want them to do, and then focusing on your purpose and plan. Because marketing is fascinating, and I could probably go on for a lot longer, but that's what I wanted to cover briefly, marketing. So my question to you, the question of the day is, how are you doing your marketing? And what are you marketing? How are you doing it, and what are you marketing? What I'm marketing and how is this channel, an upcoming book of mine. It's just me talking about my journey, my experience, but at the same time, in a way, packaged in a way that can help 1 million entrepreneurs become remarkable. And I initially thought of 100,000, but then I thought, no, let's think a little bit bigger, because it's easy to think big than small. So it's like, well, 100k is okay, but let's do 1 million. And also, as a side note, that when you think big, it excites people. A lot of people always come up to me and they say to me, oh, I like this, or 1 million people, 1 million entrepreneurs, that's pretty cool, I like that a lot. And it's like, thank you very much. But would you have said that if it said 100,000? Probably not. So 1 million has a nice ring to it, you know. What's called the 2 commas club and 3 commas club, a little inside joke right there. So that's what I'm doing, that's how I'm doing it. I'm just sharing my knowledge and packaging in different ways. I'm packaging based on the metrics that I talk about in my upcoming book, so check that out as well. Attention Avalanche. So the question today is, what are you marketing and how? Very interesting, so comment below. But remember also that this channel is all about helping you become a remarkable entrepreneur. So click on the subscribe button below and press the bell notification right next to it for the latest uploads. How cool is that?